So when I first met Scott, we both had a passion. We wanted to run our own business, and we were both working for two big companies, and we said, what are we doing? So we started our business before we got married, which was kind of a weird thing to do at the time, but we loved it, and it was fun and exciting, and we were very busy. We started having kids a couple years later, and Scott loved the kids. Scott would keep them busy. He'd go hunting, fishing. They both played sports. He coached basketball teams, little league teams. So they were always excited. They loved having Dad there to cheer them on and to actually, to be the coach. That was really fun. We had exciting times at work. We were seeing a lot of success. We'd won a lot of awards. And it was a really fun time. It was just really busy. He was really stressful sometimes, but it was just a great time. He was about to be 40, and I said to him, you've never had a real checkup. You've never gone in to really see the doctor. I said, maybe it's time you go in. And so he reluctantly went in. He hated doctors, hated hospitals, but I talked him into it, and I was glad. And we found a doctor together that he liked. And he went in and had his blood work done, and the doctor called him back in and said, your cholesterol's a little high. You should probably go on cholesterol medicine. Scott was like, I'm not going on any medicine. That's not me. I don't want to be on medicine. So the doctor said, why don't we just go ahead and do a stress test, and we'll see how that comes back. And he got a call, and all it said was, the nurse said, the doctor wants to see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Don't plan on, don't do anything stressful tonight. And that's all that they would say. That was kind of what started this journey that he went on. So the next day, Scott went in, and he called me, and he said they want me to go see a cardiologist here in the Woodlands. He goes, I'm not comfortable with this. They think, I might have something wrong with my heart. So immediately, I, grabbed the kids, took them home, and went up to the hospital. And the doctor was like, yes, I think we need to go in and we need to look. There could be some blockage. So the doctor recommended going in for a coronary angiograph, and that's kind of like a dye test so you can see where the blockage is. And so he went down, and we had that done, and I still remember I was the only one there because the doctor that we found really thought this was going to be a false positive. I mean, he was very active, he liked sports, he hunted, he fished it, he did all these things. He was like, and didn't have any symptoms. So he was like, I really feel like this is going to be false. He went in, and the doctor came out, and he was so calm, and he sat me down, and he goes, well, I'm just going to tell you that your husband is going to have a triple bypass. And I just started crying because I thought that was the end. So once we knew he was going to have a triple bypass, then we needed to find a good surgeon. And Scott always wanted to research everything, of course. So we were given a couple names, and we went and talked to the surgeons. And he really just, the one surgeon that he went with, we just had a really good connection and a good bond. He spent time with us. He talked to us about what was going to happen. He was really positive. He even took time to draw out what it looked like and what his heart looked like and where the blockages were. And Scott has his questions, I had my questions. And at the end, I just remember him saying, look, here's my cell number. If you have any questions, I'm always here. And Scott's question was, how many of these have you done? And he goes, this week? And he goes, no, in like a year. And the guy goes, I don't know, over 200 probably. So it just felt really good. As he's drawing all this out, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, reality is setting in, and I'm like, so I have one other question. And we've been in there now for, it was an hour at least. And I said, my only question is, do you believe in God? And he said, if I didn't believe in God, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, because I feel like that he is guiding me, and he gave me these hands, and that was kind of it. We were like, this is the right doctor. The day he had surgery was, I was really at peace. I thought everything's gonna be fine. He was too. It was such an easy surgery. He came out of it. The doctor was very pleased. He was only in the hospital for like 4 days. The doctors were telling me that he was the patient that had walked the most laps on the cardio floor. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but they want you to walk as much as possible because it's good for you. And so I remember the doctor coming in that night and going, well, you're going home tomorrow because you've walked the most laps of any patient I've ever had. And I was like, well, how many laps are you supposed to walk? And he goes, we just want you to walk like 4 a day. And he's walked like 24 today. And so we go home, and he was just really a quick healer. Couldn't keep him down. He would get up and walk every day, just like the doctor. He listened to everything he said. He started eating super healthy. And then it was just like, after that, it was life to the fullest. It was nonstop. Why wait another day? We'd always talked about traveling with the kids, and we'd done some trips, like the ski trips and stuff. But after that time, he was like, why should we wait? The whole thing, it was just like, he knew, because of going in and getting his checkup, that these doctors and all the people involved with his care gave him a second chance. One of his favorite things to do was to sit around the campfire, and it didn't matter if it was 75 degrees or 7 degrees. He always wanted to be out there right when sun went down and have his campfire, and we'd all just tell stories. And his story, it always came up. If there was somebody new, he always told the same stories, but he usually told about his heart was one of the stories he told. They've asked me to say, if Scott was here today, what would he tell you? And I think he would want you all to hopefully hear this story. And if you haven't had regular checkups, or maybe you've never been to your doctor, it saved his life. And it gave him 12 more years with his family. And it allowed us to really enjoy life to the fullest. He did so much in those 12 years. He would tell you that his life was a blessing and a miracle, and he gave it all to God because that's the kind of person he was. He never met a person that wasn't a friend, and he would always make you feel like a friend. So he's your friend now. And if your friend asks you to go get checked up, let's just do it. It can save your life.